Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Endgame series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we're taking a quick second look at the game between AlphaZero and Stockfish from the TCEC Season 24 Super Final Game of 41. I'd already had a look at this Queen and Rook endgame, but a viewer of the channel, Jim, hello Jim, had a few doubts about the position. He said, well, you know, White is 2 pawns up in this position. The engines were always giving up the A pawn to get a bit of freedom. Wouldn't it be possible for White to do something in this position, something to keep the 2 pawns? And well, you know, in actual fact, no, not really. But I thought it was quite interesting to have a look at it. And as always, there are some subtle points in this position that well, you don't quite see the first time you play through the game. So, looking at this position, White is indeed 2 pawns up, pawns on A2 and B3. But it's clear that Black's got quite active pieces in return. I mean, the Queen on D4, Rook on B2, combine against the pawn on F2, so that keeps the Rook on F1 passive. And, of course, the Rook on B2, beautifully placed, attacking the pawns on A2 and B3. And you can't really move those pawns forward. You know, if you go A4, I take the pawn on B3. If you go b4, well, that's not getting anywhere. And because Black finds it so easy to combine against the f2 pawn and make this rook passive, you know, White can't just you know, push this pawn and hope for the best. You know, Black will easily win that one. We've also got all sorts of useful checks as well that can speed up any attacks. Now, you know, Black does have actually one concrete way to force the win of the pawn back, and that's the move Queen d2. But now that's one of the subtle things about this endgame, is that this is really what Black wants to do. You're keeping the pressure against the f2 pawn here, and you're also attacking this a2 pawn. And, well, we said, you know, attack on the a2 pawn, you're going to win something back because the a pawn moves, the b pawn gets back. But what you've got to be really careful about is that this doesn't give White an opportunity to activate the queen with gain of tempo. And gain of tempo, well, that's going to involve attacking the pawn on f7. And just in this position, you notice that the pawn on f7 is loose. So here White actually has a pretty powerful possibility, which is to play the move Queen f6, hitting the pawn on f7, defending the pawn on f2, and freeing this rook. Freeing this rook, you might say, well, how does that help? Because, I mean, there's just no place the rook can go. But that's not strictly true, because we've got this incredible move, Rook d1, hitting the queen. And after Queen takes d1, we've got Queen b2, and that is definitely easy winning. You're never going to stop these pawns from moving. And yeah, this theme, you know, there's sort of echoes of that everywhere. I mean, if you were to go something like Queen d5 check, Queen f3, yeah, this rook ending is losing. This is one thing to remember here. We get the rook behind the pawn can move, and of course the White king on f3 is brilliantly placed to assist it, so we're just way too fast in this ending. So Queen e6, for example, and now there's a brilliant move, brilliant idea. Again, you sort of say, well, you know, the sort of the black queen and rook are sort of keeping the white rook under wraps, but we've got the move Rook e1. And after Queen e1, we've got Queen takes f7 check, King h6, and then Queen f6. Double threat of Queen takes b2 and Queen h8 mate, and there's no way to protect against that. The best you've got is something like Rook f2, Queen f2, and again, we've got 2 passed pawns and an open black king to attack. So, you know, what would you think about a good move for Black? Well, my natural idea was to play the move King g7 in this position. We're protecting the pawn on f7, we're getting ready for Queen d2. That's actually a decent move. The only thing you've got to evaluate carefully is the following ending, because White can play the move Queen c4, and this is another key White idea. Bring the queen off the a file with tempo, with an attack against the black queen, and also protecting this pawn on b3. So, you know, if the queen moves to I don't know, to d6 or something like that. Oh well, I've got Queen c3 check in that position. Let's just say Queen f6. Then I can just go a4 in this position, and, well, you know, I've moved my pawns forward, and, you know, if I can do that enough, then it's a pretty nice idea, because, you know, if Black's threatening to take a pawn on the 2nd rank, you're still attacking f2 all the time. If I end up taking a pawn on the 3rd rank or 4th rank, then I'm really dropping my attack against this, might enable the rook to get active. So, yeah, in actual fact, Black can play Queen c4 here. And, well, it looks like one of those bad situations where White's got the rook behind the pawn, but it's rather different having a c pawn to a b pawn. black can actually just run the king over here. And well, you know, this should actually be a draw. I'd be nervous about this, I'm telling you, in a blitz game. I would be nervous about this, but the rook's attacking f2. White might be able to win the f7 pawn for the c pawn, but the king is still sort of close enough to be able to defend everything. It's not easy, but it is possible. And the engines actually were just agreeing a draw in this position, believe it or not. But yeah, it's clear that, you know, allowing this possibility is not really what you want. And that's why, you know, what the engine plays in this position, it's one of those hyper accurate moves. You don't really notice the point until, yeah, you suddenly do realize the point. And the engine played the move queen d7. Looks odd to give up this attack against the pawn on f2, but you're defending f7, you're getting out of the way of this queen c4, and after all, it doesn't matter what white does, he still can't advance either the a or the b pawn. And of course, you know, the black queen can always return to d4 or to d2 later. So yeah, let's have a look at a couple of possibilities. I mean, I try to make the engine do something. I mean, I gave it queen a8 to play. And the idea there is that if you go queen d2, you sort of think, well, there's no queen f6, so I can dive in like this. White's got this move queen f3, which is very unpleasant. Attacking the pawn on f7 again. And if you retreat back to d7, I go a3. And yeah, you know, these sort of positions where I'm defending a pawn on a3, but I'm attacking f7, defending f2. This white rook is free now. Yeah, these are very unpleasant for black. These were normally losing in the engine games. So after a move like king a8, black should just play king g7, protect the pawn on f7, get ready to play queen d2. And here my engines didn't find anything better than queen e4 or queen f3, giving up the a2 pawn with similar play to before. Another line I tried was something like queen a3, for example. And then we go queen d5 check and queen d4. I mean, there's no threats against the f7 pawn, so we just return to the d4 square and tie down this this rook to the defense of f2. King g2, we just give a little check and we come back. And queen a8, we go king g7, protecting f7. And if you do something like king g2, I go queen d2, and there we are. I'm attacking this pawn, defending, attacking f2. f7 is defended, so again you have to give up, you know, some. You have to give up the pawn again, and again this is one of those positions that the you know, the engines are managing to defend quite well. I think the key point is that in this position, you know, if you just exchange off the queens and black gets the rook behind the b pawn, then, you know, this is going to be drawn basically. So, you know, black's got a fair amount of leeway in these endings. I think that you know, Stockfish did manage to beat Berserk 11 in this, in one game out of 4 as white. So yeah, you know, you can be sneaky, you can do it, but against Komodo Dragon, yeah, Stockfish never got close. So, you know, against, you know, super accurate defense, basically, you know, this is just ending up a draw. Yeah, so I mean, in the game, you know, after queen d7, no tempi against the queen on d4, no real possibility to attack, to advance the pawns, no counterattack against f7. Yeah, in this position, Leela just played queen f6, sacrificed the pawn and tried to get active. And well, you know, this was, we saw how this went. Check. Queen a7, hitting the pawn on f2, so white still can't get in with rook e7 or rook e8. And after king g1, rook a6 was a great idea. You know, we saw how these queen and rook were always working together here to chase away the white queen from f6, and then after that there's no danger anymore. Queen f3, rook b6, and well, we're stopping the advance of the b pawn. The queen will get active, and you know, black will hold this. And you know, if you want to see how that went, then you know, take a look at the previous video on this game. I hope that sort of you know, cleared up those matters at all. The one extra thing, which I think I've got prepared here, let's have a look, was yeah, Jim asked, what if the pawns are on a3 and b4? How is that looking? And that is a completely different story. With the pawns on a3 and b4, or even better, a4 and b5, the engines just say completely winning. I think it's what I explained before, really. You know, that yeah, you know, the pressure, harder to organise pressure against f2 and keep it there if the pawn you're going to capture is going to end up being on the third rank. And well, this was a game Stockfish against Dragon, but Dragon won it, you know, the other way around. rook d2, rook e1, queen f4, very important, these moves. The queen's brilliant on the f file, as we've seen before. Attacking f7, defending f2 there. Rook d5, queen e4, rook d8, queen f3, and then you're absolutely perfect. I mean, you can also have the rook on e3 to defend a3 if you need it. And, well, after rook b8, rook e7, not afraid of exchanging off queens there, takes. Rook e4, well, that was just a clear win. A4, and the position was winning. So yes, if the pawns were on a3 and b4, this would be a clear win. But on a2 and b3, with a black rook on b2 to keep them in check, and also the pressure against the white king, black was able to hold. Kind of, yeah, I mean, I think, it's quite intuitive that the position with the pawns on a2 and b3 is better for black than a3, b4. And of course, the shocking thing is that one is just a total win and one is actually just a clear draw for the engines. But yeah, hopefully that helps a little bit. I hope, Jim, that helped clear up a few things and just made it a little bit easier to follow. And well, hope everyone enjoyed this too. You may have noticed that there's a slightly different picture on this video. My new book, to get written together with Steve Giddens, my childhood coach, Re-engineering the Chess Classics, had just come out. Do take a look at it. There's 22 sample pages available. We basically take 35 games from classic players and analyse them with the engines, doing what I do here, playing out engine games and seeing what happens. And I can tell you, we found loads of interesting things. It's we've looked at some tactical slugfests, games like Lasker Napier, where the engines find just incredible things. Although I have to say, both Lasker and Napier played pretty well, for the early 1900s. To be honest, for the current day, they played pretty well. But still, the engine finds some incredible things. Because especially in endgames and in complex strategical struggles, the engines find incredible things that have never been seen before. And I think we explain it really well as well, and got a lovely set of games. So do take a look at that. Very proud of that book. Yeah, a little bit less engine-y than maybe my previous works, but also plenty of really fascinating engine insight in there. Otherwise, why not like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, that would be really nice. And otherwise, thanks very much for watching, and hope to see you in future videos. Thanks very much for watching, everyone.